Okay, good morning. It's day 40 of videos to describe a day in the life of me as a schizophrenic human or human with schizophrenia. And this is done to express some sort of sanity of myself amidst the society turning things around and turning me into the crazy one when society went crazy. And I do a little intro to these things, and so you can go ahead and skip ahead to 2.5 minutes here. Uh, I came to the realization while I was writing my book that if I was going to describe myself to others, I would be described as an itty bitty writer who experienced schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the experience can be ascribed to coming into contact with systems and operations using modern or advanced technology. This book, uh, this book that I'm writing, is on Medium.com. And it also, as I will say this, that I am a one-time semi-activist. I am now an author and brain damaged person writing a book about technology and society, psychological operations, and political surveillance. And this book uh, also discusses my thought processes that potentially were impetus to get me targeted, and it could go back into childhood, even childhood thoughts that were being read by satellite. I am now the this targeting is referred to the targeted individuals by programmed by others. And in day 17 of these little videos, I describe why I just choose to describe myself as a schizophrenic rather than a targeted individual. And anyways, and for one, this program has resulted in my brain functioning in a schizophrenic manner. Uh, I'm actually the recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO describes as cognitive war, and what the chief of Indian intelligence describes as neurostrike weaponry. And this is supposedly a term used by the Chinese. They describe it as neurostrike as well. And anyways, this type of weaponry is basically neurological weapons. This has given me a condition characteristic of schizophrenia, but is more in line with the class, more apt to be described as coming into contact with the classified democratic world of the United States or underworld of global world. Okay. All right. So that's that. Today I was going to talk about Lakers to start off. And the Lakers, they've won like 5 out of 6 or something. They got trounced last night, and it did not look good. I don't know what that was about, but they can't win every game, basically. So, you know, I can't really fault myself or anybody for them losing. And Dalton Knnect, uh, the Lakers have a lot of young, talented players, and I agree. They're wrapping some of these guys up pretty well, but I agree that I don't know that I would trade Dalton Knnect for just one player. Like, I'm not even sure that Walker Kessler is better than Dalton Knnect, one on one for one. But I would trade Dalton Knnect possibly for a guard and a big, for two players, and maybe give a first round pick with that or something, and you get two players out of the deal. But I particularly a guard and center because that's what we need. And it's just like we're kind of backlogged in the wing area. We have Dorian Finney-Smith, we have LeBron, we have Rui, we have Dalton Knnect, and then you got the guards at Boston Reeves and Cam Reddish and Max Christie, and that little 3 through 4th wing aspect. We have a lot. We don't have a lot of bigs in the way the 4 or the 5, like a Vucevic as or moving AD to a 4 or Kessler at a 5, and we're missing a 5 and we're missing a 1 because Gabe Vincent is hit and miss, I guess. sometimes he looks pretty damn good, but sometimes he doesn't look that good. So it's hard to know what you're gonna get out of Gabe Vincent. And so we could use I mean, he's only one guard anyway, so you need at least two. So they were playing Brawny last night, and he's not quite ready. He's only like 19, so uh, I mean, he's looking better though. The G League definitely improved him to some degree. He seems a little bit more confident, like he belongs or whatever. So that that was pretty cool to see that aspect of him coming along. So it's always good, like kind of like like Max Christie developed over time or whatever. It took him a while. So all right, uh, and then in any event, the Lakers look like they got good young players. Personally, I don't want to trade Dalton Knnect, but if you can get a guard and a center out of this, if you add a guard and a center to this team, they are contenders. Like a good guard and a good center, and they become contenders, in my opinion. And you know, you want to call them contenders now because they're fifth in the West. Oh, all right. I can get into that for a second, but uh, I like the good young players they got. So, but if you could get a good guard, and a good center out of a deal, I think you got to go for it because you're kind of contenders at this point in time, and you don't know if you'll be able to replace LeBron in the future or how long AD's window is. And so, okay, all right, moving on to I need to read my book on biocentrism by Robert Lanza, and which is kind of interesting because his name is Lanza because there was a Lanza in our family that was like a charlatan kind of thing, or uh, they were kind of, well, I don't know, I want to talk about it, but Robert Lanza. I read an article that described death as potentially an illusion, which is maybe what the Lanzas were in our family. They might have been illusionists. And Einstein thought so. Einstein thought death was an illusion, and so I was reading this article last night, and I actually bought a book by him a while back. It's somewhere, I think it's in the other library room, and I'll have to start reading that once I finish the Katie Ledecky book. I need to, when I finish the Katie Ledecky book, I'm going to start on the fingerprints of God, which is the Graham Hancock book. I've already started on it, but I'm going to restart on it, and then I would probably like to start on this Robert Lanza book when I finish with another book. And so those are my next two books that I'm going to read. So anyway, so like the idea that death is an illusion, I thought that was kind of interesting, and supposedly more people study quantum physics. They think like they think that there's evidence that there's death is an illusion, and they talked about, in this case, they talked about the fact that matter travels across the universe, like potentially there's parallel worlds and all that, and teleportation and stuff. Chinese are already doing teleportation. They teleported one of their biggest lakes, which is the distance between New York City and Philadelphia. They teleported particles from one side to the other, and that's what's going on in public. So you always say, like, once you see something going on in public, you say, "Oh, okay, so like there's potentially this going on in a much bigger way in secret because we live in a world of secrets." And supposedly everyone says, "Oh, you can't keep secrets and stuff." And it's like, these people have been keeping secrets for thousands of years, and they like to reveal the secret, like reveal the method. It's like a trick of the magi. The magi are I think it goes all the way back to like Islamic mathematicians and stuff like that, where like they were allowed to trick you as long as they told you about it. But like, so it's like some sort of deep secret society belief that like If they tell you about it, then they're allowed to trick you. What I was gonna say, I was fixing my collar here. I like my neck to be shown. I don't want to be like Mr. No Neck. But Will Ferrel was laughing with Reese Witherspoon last night on one of those Hollywood shows or something, and he put his collar up, and that was to make fun of me the other day. I had my collar up, and I looked like I had like no neck, and I was like kind of fat faced and stuff. And Will Ferrell was like making fun of me because he was saying like Reese Witherspoon was like, "Oh, who else would be the sexiest man alive except for Will Ferrell or whatever?" So Will Ferrell was like saying he should be the sexiest man alive, and they were making fun of me because I thought I didn't look very good. I didn't look, so they were poking fun or whatever. But I didn't look very good the other day, and like my face changes day to day and stuff. So some days I'm like, oh, I have a good camera face that day, and other days I don't have a very good camera face. Anyways, so Will Ferrell, if you saw him do that, that's what that was about. It was about me on camera. So somehow my feed gets gone out. I don't think anyone watches the feed on here. I think they're watching on satellite. So anyways, it is kind of funny. All right. All right. So I talked about the mafia potentially starting fires in Italy the other day, and I do think there was a human hand involved in the fires in California and in the West Coast and stuff. And like I say, there could be false flags anytime these things come out. You got to deal with them in phases, and you see what the narrative is, and you say, does that narrative add up? And you start to examine what's going on or whatever. And so yesterday we were walking in the park doing our Camino practice, and that's going really well, by the way. But come speeding up the road was this truck by Burrtek, which is the trash company, trash dumping company, and nobody's really that happy with Burrtek out here in Santa Clarita, the city. Nobody, a lot of people are dissatisfied with them. And this guy comes barreling up the roadway in the middle of the park where everyone is walking. I mean, people are walking up this roadway all the time, doing walks around the park, taking strolls or whatever, or exercise walks. And right before he came up there, there was two women in over the baby strollers, and this guy comes barreling up the way, like going like 40, 45 miles an hour up the road, and we were really startled, like, oh my god, this guy's nutball. And a little bit after that, there was the other park personnel coming up in their little golf cart and stuff, and they were in a little truck. They were like city employees, and they were going like a proper speed or whatever. So we stopped them and told them, and they said, yeah, it's not uncommon for Burrtek to be caught by people going too fast around here. And I took it as like, oh, potentially somebody watched me say something about the Mafia or whatever. And actually, the day before, I was a little worried walking on that road, like somebody, like because I said something about the Mafia, that some crazy person associated with it would like run the truck real fast through there. So they were actually playing with my schizophrenia. So I thought that the day before, and then it happened the next day. And so something with Burrtek they were trying to say or something, but potentially, with the Mafia, like the idea of like the contracts are lucrative in these fires or whatever. Like just think about the trash cleanup and the hazardous cleanup and the contracts that are going to be associated with that through EPA or trash cleanup. Just like there's going to be new lucrative contracts to clean up the trash there with all this destruction and stuff. So it's like an industrial complex a little bit going on. And a little bit last night I got burning on my head from some sort of laser or something. I ate some turkey and a little bit of that sauce from Chick-fil-A, and they started burning my head saying like we'll start a fire because you had this piece of turkey or something, and they burned my head, And so that's a new thing. It hasn't gone on for a while, but it's going on now. All right, I gotta stop.